everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for today, January 15th, day 15 of reading the Bible in a year. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. And be sure to turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload a video. So with that being said, we are going to get into today's reading. We are gonna pick up from where we left off. We were talking about Jacob yesterday and when he reunited with his brother Esau and how that went. So we're gonna continue on from there. Before we start reading the scriptures, we're gonna read a little bit about what we're gonna get into, okay? So as Jacob and his family come again into Canaan, they cross the Jordan River and settle at a place somewhere near Mount Gerizim, north of Jerusalem. Jacob's daughter Dinah becomes a central character in a story of violence turned to love, followed by treachery and revenge. Sounds exciting, right? The other main characters are Shechem, son of the local prince, Hamor, his father, and Simeon and Levi, two of Dinah's brothers. Okay, so for today, we're going to read from Genesis 34, verse 1 through to, let's see, we're going to end at Genesis 35, verse 29. Okay, so we'll begin with Genesis 34, verse 1. Now, Dinah, the daughter Leah had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, "Give me this girl as my wife." When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock. So he did nothing about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the fields as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious because Shechem had done an outrageous thing in Israel by sleeping with Jacob's daughter, a thing that should not be done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Intermarry with us. Give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle among us. The land is open to you. Live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it." Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride, and the gift I am to bring as great as you'd like, and I'll pay whatever you ask me. Only give me the young woman as my wife." Because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's sons replied deceitfully as they spoke to Shechem and his father Hamor. They said to them, "We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sisters to a man who is not circumcised. That would be a disgrace to us. We will enter into an agreement with you on one condition only, that you become like us by circumcising all your males. Then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters for ourselves. We'll settle among you and become one people with you. But if you will not agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go." Their proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man, who was the most honored of all his father's family, lost no time in doing what they said because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak to the men of their city. These men are friendly toward us. They said, let them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours. But the men will agree to live with us as one people only on the condition that our males be circumcised, as they themselves are. Won't their livestock, their property, and all their other animals become ours? So let us agree to their terms, and they will settle among us. All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, killing every male. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. The sons of Jacob came upon the dead bodies and looted the city where their sister had been defiled. They seized their flocks and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out in the fields. They carried off all their wealth, all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have brought trouble on me by making me obnoxious to the Canaanites and Perizzites, the people living in this land. We are few in number, and if they join forces against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed. But they replied, should we have treated our sister like a prostitute? Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute? So we're going to pause there. That was quite interesting. This is the first account of a rape in the Bible. So it clearly tells you that, this has been going on since forever. And her brothers took revenge, as in modern day, I'm sure if, a young lady was raped or attacked in any way, I think it's just a natural instinct that, and maybe her dad, if not her dad, her brothers, older or even younger brothers, would want to retaliate in some sort of way. So I do kind of understand why Simeon and Levi did what they did. But we're going to read a little bit more about what we're going to get into for the other chapter, for Genesis 35. So let's get into that. Jacob's sons may have saved some sense of honor for the family, but Jacob knows that the slaughter of Shechem's men has made them enemies in the region. At God's direction, Jacob moves southward to Bethel, where Jacob had made a covenant with God on his way to exile in Haran. Perhaps this is more than a simple call to change circumstances. Perhaps God wants also to draw Jacob's sons away from worshiping the false gods of the area. And just as God had done with Jacob's grandfather, Abraham, God gives Jacob a new name, Israel. It is a name by which an entire nation will be known, and it bears great significance even to the present time. As Jacob is moving still further south, Rachel bears her second son, but dies in giving him life. Sometime later, Jacob also buries his father Isaac in Hebron. So we're going to start now at Genesis 35, verse 1, which is going to cover basically what I just read. Then God said to Jacob, "Go up to Bethel and settle there, and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you, and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me wherever I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak of Shechem. Then they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them, so that no one pursued them. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that is now Bethel, in the land of Canaan. There he built an altar, and he called the place El Bethel, because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside Bethel. So it was named Alon Bakuth. After Jacob returned from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel." So he named him Israel. And God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number. A nation and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Jacob called the place where God had talked with him Bethel. Then they moved on from Bethel. While they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, "Don't despair, for you have another son." As she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, but his father named him Benjamin. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah: Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob; Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. The sons of Rachel: Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's servant Bilhah: Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant Zilpah: Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, which is known as Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day the pillar marks Rachel's tomb. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre, near Kiriath, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived 180 years. Then he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay, guys, so that ends our reading for today, January 15th. A very, very interesting one, at least in my opinion. From dealing with the rape to, her dying and giving birth to a son before, dying during childbirth, I should say. Rachel dying during childbirth. So I think those were like two first accounts in the Bible of a woman dying during childbirth and also of rape. So that was very interesting to read. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the subject matter that was covered today. And once again, I just want to thank you all for joining me for another day of reading the Bible in a year. Stay blessed, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.